but I've been underwater telling stories since 1991. For me, it was important because most of Michigan and the Great Lakes states are really underwater. I mean, so much of them are submerged, and on the bottom are these amazing artifacts that really chronicle 300 years of maritime history. So from the time the French were here, to the time that the British were here, to the time that, you know, all of our shipping, from the Edmund Fitzgerald to all of the famous ships that have hauled iron ore, this was the backbone of the steel industry. In fact, now we're still moving 90% of the iron ore for the United States here. And it's pretty amazing that it's all on our Great Lakes. So that's why it's so critical that we preserve this history that's down there.
You just think about that the lakes are, the Great Lakes, you know, even the bottom ones in Michigan are just dotted with these little shipwrecks that are, you know, they were once the lifeblood of our shipping system on the Great Lakes. That's how a lot of our commodities and people and everything else were shipped around.
The Michigan Underwater Preserve Council really wants to aid the scuba industry with information. We want to make sure everyone's aware of our wonderful shipwrecks in this area. We want to make sure people are aware how to find them. GPS numbers, wreck conditions, what you're going to find as far as how challenging the dive is. If it's a long ways offshore, if it's very deep, if there's strong currents in the area, if the visibility's bad. These are all things which go into, you know, factor how challenging the dive is.
For me, it's always been about being an advocate for the underwater history that's there. And what I've found in my career is that I've been really good at not finding shipwrecks, but finding the men and the women who've been involved in those, the rescues and the survivals. And I've collected over 30 years interviews with eyewitnesses to this history. So from 1913 to 1940, these massive storms that have hit the Great Lakes, I have people who were at the wheel when those ships went down. So that's been what I've been trying to do is I don't look for underwater shipwrecks, I look for that human element and find those people who've been on them. And I've been very successful at finding these stories and then sharing them in stories on PBS, stories on Discovery and the History Channel, podcasts, and even magazine articles. We've made the cover of Michigan History a couple of times with these stories. So I just love to share the history that's there, and that's literally what I get to do now with PBS.
Generally, most divers get involved with a club because then it makes it easier for you to find buddies. There's a tremendous social aspect to scuba diving. I mean, you got to realize all that work goes into diving and you're down there for a half an hour, maybe an hour. We have competitions in the Ecology dive for who finds the most unique item, who brings up the largest item, who brings up the heaviest item. There's quite a bit of judging going on for different competitions. There's going to be a huge one this year up in Marquette, Michigan, a real big one up there. You know, it's a pretty popular activity, and divers really enjoy doing that because it's cleaning up our environment too. And we have a lot of fun with it. You know, divers love to dive, okay? We spend all that money on our gear, we want to use it once in a while. And it is kind of bragging rights because it is fun to get the gawker appeal to it. The locals are walking by and it's cold. What are you crazy people doing out there? We're having a blast. We're loving this, okay? Why don't you come try it too?